This is a Hot Pie Media original.
This is, it's a serious issue, should be a serious issue that people should care about. And I think it's an interesting issue because I think you can take this stuff any number of ways. And I do think this is dumped in our lap. And I do think it's worthy of discussion. And I'm going to say I don't know that there's a right answer yet. But the political wave, the political environment that we're in, to say that it's just a one-off, you have a life, you don't need to worry about whatever legislature, you don't need to worry about the policies that much. They're just a bunch of fluff. You've got a life, you've got things to do, you go about your way. But the issues of the day, the imagery of today is starting to intersect in a pretty interesting, if you want to just say, I just want to follow along, I just have a thought or two, I just have an opinion or two, you should think. Now, let's try thinking. I know it's a foreign concept in a lot of places now, but it's time to take stuff seriously and start thinking. And the thinking part is this. Is there this intersection? Is there this collision between politics of today, which is nothing more than a culture war? We live in a time period of not being about policy of substance. We live in a time period of policy about issues, about imagery and culture wars. And the culture war, by the way, is fueled on each side. It's real. So when does the policies that make the culture war intersect with the policies of everyday life, driving down the highway, going to work, producing goods and services, picking up the kids? I think it's a collision course. I think you really need to care because I think the policies of today are actually bad for business. It's become bad for business. How bad is the billion-dollar question? How does this fight, political policy of the day versus business of today? At what point does it become a real problem? I think we're there. I think the irony of what is happening now, and I can set it up pretty clearly because this has been brewing for some time. This has been coming. It's been coming and coming and coming. And now you have the two sides saying, you know what? You're really ruining things for me. You jackass maggot politician. You are making life miserable for me. Now, you could say it's fluff. You can say both sides just make noise. They don't do anything. But it's time to pay attention. The irony of all of this is he set himself up. I don't think he cares. I think that's what's amazing about what is happening now. Let me give you some brief history. Rick Perry, who was governor of Texas forever, and Rick Perry became a joke. So it's hard to have any discussion about Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, who went on to work for the Trump administration. It's hard to have a conversation about him without people laughing and making fun of him. He became a joke. But I want to say this, and I know he ruined it. I know he was a doofus running against Trump. And I know Trump turned him into a doofus and ripped him to shreds and made a mockery of the guy as a campaigner. But Rick Perry was a powerful political force in the state of Texas. To tell you and show you how different life is and the culture war, the absolute culture war that we live in today. Rick Perry's time as governor was really about sucking up to corporate America. I mean, it was a badge of honor to suck up to corporate America. And I think some could say to successfully suck up to corporate America. The man had a fund called the Enterprise Fund. A lot of states around the country have done this. I despise corporate welfare. I think it is a horrible, sinister thing to do. But just to show you how different things are and how quickly things are different now, he really was, I wouldn't say broadly liked, but I would say broadly supported, mostly because he was a governor who did everything humanly possible, including giving away your money, to make sure corporate America came to Texas, liked Texas, and succeeded in Texas. It was his badge of honor as governor of Texas I used to use the example, to show up to as many ribbon-cutting ceremonies as possible. It's what got him elected and kept him elected. Now think about now. the absolute opposite is the way to get elected and stay elected. In other words, you need to hate on corporate America. Well, in particular, technology in corporate America. You need to hate on them. So it is so odd just over a time period where this culture war is really us versus them, rural versus urban, college educated versus non-college educated. You have to hate each other. Whereas a few years ago, it didn't matter what company it was. It didn't matter whether it was Facebook or otherwise. Rick Perry would kiss your ass and make sure, because he knew that his path to success, voter success, was how's business doing in Texas? That's what used to matter. And I say used to matter because it doesn't matter anymore. In fact, just the opposite is the way politics works. And so we now have to have this real discussion about this collision between politics of culture, which is all that matters now. The days of Rick Perry, agree or disagree, sucking up to corporate America and doing everything humanly possible to make sure that corporate America has everything it wants, so he can then campaign on, look at big business, look what business is doing. Now your goal is, I want to make sure business sucks. Think how different things are. And I don't think that Texas is probably that much different than Georgia. Maybe not that much different than Arizona. Booming economies in this country where we do have an absolute full-on disconnect. One of the problems, the fuel to the fire of the culture war, my opinion. I do think there's legitimate economic issues as the separation has gotten wider and wider and wider. Rural America, in a lot of ways, not to nerd out too much in economics, but rural America now is a lot like inner cities probably in the 70s. These are the impoverished areas. These are the areas that suffer a great deal of crime. These are the areas that are mad and angry and disconnected. It's a real issue and a real problem. And the economics is just getting further and further apart. So at some level, if you want to be genuine and you want to think this thing through, there should be some understanding that as rural America has been sort of left behind, and I think left behind by politicians, you can't deny that it's been left behind. You can't deny that it should be and is pretty angry. And it doesn't know what's going to happen. It doesn't know where to turn next because everybody seems to be telling them a story. So rural America is mad. Rural America has been left behind and it's mad, and for pretty good reason. Urban America is completely reinvented. It is the economic engine of this country now. Austin, Houston, and Dallas are driving this economy. There's virtually nothing else. And that's probably true in most other places around the country. The fact is, most startups happen in urban areas. I mean, your economic opportunity in life now is mostly concentrated around urban areas. So to pretend that this culture war is, just about social policy, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. I think there's real economic issues, real economic problems, and such an economic disconnect that it's producing. And I think politicians are such horrible human beings. They are flaming this and pandering to this and making life worse for everyone. So don't pretend they don't like us, we don't like them, is just on feelings alone. There's an economic problem here. There's income inequality that exists, and it's urban and rural. I know that's a weird rant, but I think we have to appreciate the setup here. The setup is pretty dangerous and not healthy. It is not healthy to hate on starting up successful business. It is not healthy to hate on having a college degree. What's happening in rural America is not healthy. You want economic opportunity because you want people to start businesses. You want people. The American dream is risk reward. You want people to have the skill set and the means and the finances available to them to take risk, to then assume the reward. That is not happening in rural America by and large. And that's a problem and a horrible problem. And nobody in office wants to fix it because all they want to do is start a fight. The fight's on. So now let's go to present day. And present day is a collision course between politics and corporate America. There wasn't a collision when Rick Perry was governor of Texas. Most people that don't know his time as governor just laugh at him. People that do know his time as governor laugh at him. But it was a time period in which it was pat you on the back, succeed, succeed, succeed. He would be reelected because of economics. It doesn't matter now. So fast track to the insane, ridiculous, and now it's being thrown back in his face. Position taken by Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, who knows better. But he's stuck in this place. He is a prisoner of a culture war. The culture war is now so drastic that it's time to hate on corporate America. He found himself stuck in a ridiculous and embarrassing place, and now it started a fight.
The headline that 2/3 of college-educated workers may avoid Texas now because of this abortion ban. What's your response?
So you do see some publications who try to categorize the Texas business environment based upon the positions that the Texas legislature takes. However, the truth of the matter shows something completely different. The Federal Reserve puts out a report every single month that shows the mobility of people moving from one state to another. Month after month after month, including the most recent month, shows that people are choosing to move to Texas more than any other state in the United States, and it's not even close. And so regardless of some hand-wringing by some publications, the people who are not wringing their hands are the people who create jobs, that run businesses, that care about their daily lives. And people are choosing Texas over any other state, and part of that is because of our low regulations, our no income tax. In fact, we constitutionally banned an income tax in the state of Texas, but we have a terrific business climate, which is exactly why Gaddick, for example, chose to come to the state of Texas and improve its mobile innovation. And so companies are choosing Texas because it has the superior business climate.
I totally understand that. And certainly Texas consistently ranks high on CNBC's list of top states for business. But right or wrong, for better or worse, I mean, you do have businesses that have not been shy to react to some of these political or social topics as of late, be it whether it's the abortion situation, whether it is some of the voting laws that are being implemented. We've certainly seen that happen in Georgia. I know you're in the process of implementing some voting reforms in Texas as well that are getting a lot of attention. Maybe it's because of their workforces. Maybe it's because of investors insisting on ESG. But aren't you worried that some of the major employers in your state are going to respond negatively or potentially pull investment or donation dollars in light of some of these topics?
So first, again, we continue to see a massive influx of these employers coming in the state of Texas because, candidly, not only do they like the business environment, but, Morgan, you need to understand that there's a lot of businesses and a lot of Americans who like the social positions that the state of Texas is taking. It's very important that I address one thing.
We'll stop there. That was now that part was a ridiculous thing to say. The lead up to that, he's right. And, you know, this is to be fair. And again, our goal is to think. To be fair, I don't know if the noise that is now being made by the companies that are driving the economy, okay, the industries that are driving the economy, this area, look, most of what is happening is all about Austin. By the way, next time you laugh at me for saying Austin should secede, maybe you ought to think about it again. Maybe you ought to think about we keep our money. But it's about money follows money. And that's what's happening around the country, and that's certainly what's happening here. There's no disagreement. It's a friendly business state, and people are coming here. They're coming here, one, because of that, but they're coming to Austin, Texas, just like they have for some time, because there's a steady stream of smart people who take risk and reward and succeed. That's the bottom line, and that should be encouraged and not discouraged by any newfound fascist politician. We don't really believe in free enterprise, but he's right. Businesses are coming here. They're still coming here. But now the question is, I think this is the legitimate issue of the day. I don't know the answer. I'm certainly not in corporate America. I'm certainly not in the technology field. The issue of the day is, when does this noise, the noise of the Texas legislature, forget just abortion as a policy. John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce, now in all 50 states and several retail outlets as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to let this social media rock star chef walk us through 4 different sauces, and then I'll taste, and we'll tell everyone why they should buy. You can give the science behind these, and then I'll make the simple recommendation. Go to atxhotsauce.com. All right,
I don't think anybody's heard the website.
Yeah, I know.
By you, Jeff,
I've never heard
it is
that.
atxhotsauce.com.
I'll say
I got that one right.
45 times, atxhotsauce.com. So let's do it.
I brought 4 flavors here, and we're going to test your palate today.
Okay.
And I only brought 4 because I didn't think you could handle 5 or 6.
Yes,
probably a smart move. Yeah. And so the first one we're going to try here, it's called Beet Heat. And just like the name implies, it has beets in it. It's made with red Fresno peppers. Red Fresnos are red peppers that are they're hotter than a jalapeno and a little bit less than a serrano. So not super hot here, just a lot of really good flavor. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to move up the chain.
Okay. I've had the Beet Heat, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to try it though.
It goes well with a cab. All right, Jeff's savoring Beet
I'll
Heat.
even do it with you, so that should be all right. Now remember, it is hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's hot sauce. Trust me, man.
Wait,
It's hot sauce.
is that one hot to you?
No. A little.
Yeah. The great thing with the fermentation process is you get a bunch of the flavor right up front.
Yeah.
And then the heat comes, but then it dissipates pretty quickly, especially with the red Fresnos. You know, this is not a very spicy one, but it is a very tasty one. Goes on great on sandwiches.
Beet Heat.
Beet Heat. B-E-E-T. Heat.
All right. Go to atxhotsauce.com.
That's right.
These policies of transgendered athletes, the point of the legislature doing these special sessions called by that man right there who said people like these issues, or businesses like these issues. He's the one calling the special sessions, and he's doing it because it plays well in rural Texas, just like politics is rural versus urban around the rest of the country. So most decent thinking human beings get it. This is just an attempt to get reelected. But at what point what point do these companies start to say, you're making it really bad for me? Because it's at a weird spot. I mean, on one hand, even though the Republican Party of today is seemingly anti-business, certainly anti-big corporation, technology corporations, because they don't like them, and it doesn't play well in rural America, because rural America is mad at them. They need their money. At the same time, you need the votes, right? So I need these companies to be here. I need to be able to brag about the success of these companies. And the success of companies now, this is not the oil boom anymore. It's gone. Goodbye, so long. So the economy of today is what I call the idea economy. It is driven by technology companies and technology spinoffs. We all know that. So he's stuck like a lot of politicians. You need the money. You want them to succeed. At the same time, your voting base doesn't want them and hates them. So how does that collision play out? And then you've got the question about the noise the companies are now making. And they're making noise. They are. And I think they have a point. The noise they're making, is it just noise? Are they just as full of fluff as the politicians, or does it really start to have an economic impact? Do companies start to say, I can't hire there, man. You've become such a redneck state. You look like such a redneck state. You're making it tough for me to recruit. What do they do about that? I think we can assume their noise is probably true, just like what Abbott is saying is also true, and that is people keep coming here. So is there a breaking point there? If so, what is it? Or is it just noise? But it is the culture war is just exploding, not imploding. It's exploding in front of your face. It is corporate America, college educated corporate America in urban areas in this state colliding with the culture war that he's trying to sell and has to sell to get reelected. This is the CEO of Salesforce, not a guy who's afraid to speak his mind. And remember, Greg Abbott said companies like the social policies passed by the legislature. No, they don't. They don't at all. That was a dumb thing to say. Now, as an individual, you may like the policies, you may like the imagery, but the corporations themselves do not like it. It makes it tougher. It makes the image of redneck tougher for them to recruit.
After the Texas abortion law took effect earlier this month, Salesforce announced that it would relocate employees and family members who are concerned about reproductive care in this state. Why did you feel the need to speak up on that particular law?
We have this happening on a regular basis. We have a governor or a president or some minister of some country that makes some kind of discriminatory statement that upsets our employees. And our message to our employees is very simple. You don't like it, you can move, and we'll move you. And we've done this in Indiana and North Carolina. We've done this in Georgia. We've done this in Texas, and we've done this in other countries as well.
Does the Texas abortion law give you pause about doing business or expanding in Texas?
What this is about is telling our employees that we have their back, that if they want to move and they're unhappy, that we'll move them. We'll move them to another state. And if they want to stay there, that's also great. Look, a lot of our employees have great jobs in sales or marketing or engineering. Our job is to make sure that they have the freedom and also the liberty to do what they want to do. I'm a fourth generation San Franciscan. We're the home of gay rights and freedom here in our country. Of course we're going to act like this. We're going to say, if you don't like it, we're going to be there for you, and we're going to help you to get the freedoms that you deserve.
Yeah, I mean, that's Mark Benioff. That's a powerful dude. Okay, now you can dislike him too, which is funny about the entire story. You've got the very two figures that most people dislike the most. Politicians, who I dislike, I find them the trashiest of all categories of people in working life. I find them absolute hucksters and pieces of trash, and I despise what we've allowed them to become. It's our fault. But you're also not huge fans of CEOs. You're not huge fans of corporate America as well. You're not huge fans of your boss, for that matter. So Mark Benioff is probably not going to be any better received than Greg Abbott. I get it. And that's okay, too. The real issue is the issue. What's this collision course? And what effect does this collision course really have? It's not the first time for people to appreciate this. This is not the first time this has started to happen. Pre-Trump, Trump wasn't the creator of the culture war at all, I don't think. You can disagree. That's fine. Pre-Trump, this was an issue. As the disconnect, as rural versus urban became more polarized, politicians in this state and many others started to play the social issue card. Rick Perry, not necessarily, but it became a bigger and bigger deal. This came up a few years ago about gay rights, and then companies started making a lot of noise. You're making it tough for us to recruit. Remember, this is the problem, and Greg Abbott knows this, and all of you who work for a living, you know this as well. You're recruiting smart, college-educated people who have leverage. That's the thing about today, is if you're in the hiring mode, particularly in the technology hiring mode, smart, talented people have leverage. A young person today has more leverage than ever before if you are smart and you're in the idea economy. So they've got a ton of leverage. And so at some level, it's a selfish argument, but you can understand where corporations are coming from, saying, listen, man, I need to hire people, and I'm in a competition to hire the best people, and I need to retain the people. Exactly what Benioff is saying here. I got to go out and hire them, and you're making it tougher for me to hire them because it's one of the things used against me. Your state looking and sounding redneck is making it tougher for me to recruit. It's a legitimate issue. The question is, how big of an issue, and how does this get fixed, if at all? I mean, is there a tipping point? Is there a point that Salesforce or Facebook or someone says, we're out, man, we're out? I don't know. I think they're just making noise right now. I don't know that they're going to do anything. I do think they're making noise, and I do get where they're coming from. You want it to be as easy as possible to recruit the most talented people you can. Okay? Looking like knuckleheads, redneck knuckleheads, makes it tougher to recruit. That's what they're saying. What are they going to do about it? What's he going to do about it? Because right now, they're both kind of right. He's right. Businesses are going to keep coming. People are going to keep coming to Austin. They're going to keep coming to Austin because this is where everything is happening. This is the idea economy. This is where you can start your own business, succeed at your own business, find venture capital, work in corporate America, bail on corporate America. This is the engine of the economy of today. So at what point does the average 25-year-old, 30-year-old, or 50-year-old that's got leverage, at what point do they say, I don't want that place? I don't know. To pretend that it's not an issue is stupid. Politicians have to act stupid because stupid works for them. It's getting sort of dangerous. Here's a story that's out by Bloomberg News. Technology leaders across Texas have been privately meeting for weeks, discussing how best to combat the state's new social policies and challenge a cultural shift they say makes it difficult to attract top talent. Okay? So just so you know, it's reported now that these technology companies, I mean, there's plenty of them in this area, successful female started and female run companies in particular are making some noise. They've apparently been talking behind the scenes, been talking privately about what exactly to do about this. And I don't know what the answer is there. I'm out of corporate America. I don't know what you do. If you don't agree with the politicians, you don't agree with the policies, you think it makes it tough to recruit, I don't know what you do. Maybe nothing. So far, nothing. The threat, this threat from a few years ago, it didn't really mount to anything. Greg Abbott's right. Companies kept coming here. Talented people kept coming. And then they're not going to rural Texas. Rural Texas is dying. They're dying a miserable, sad death. Partly because of sellout politicians letting them. But urban areas have been booming. Dallas, Houston, and Austin are doing great. At what point does it start to affect the economy because of this stuff? One of the things you will notice, and I don't know the answer about this yet, the real money players, the giant companies, the Apples, the Amazons, the Googles, Facebook, Tesla came here. He acts like Elon Musk is his best friend, even though Elon Musk said, I don't want to talk about this social stuff. They haven't said, stop it now. And I don't know what happens, and this is dumped on all of you. I don't know what happens if they did say, stop it now. Stop with this stuff. Hey, Dan Patrick, you're a yahoo, and you better stop. I'm more powerful than you. I run the world. You're just some podunk politician kissing ass in Tomball, Texas, so back off. I don't know what happens if they say that. Do they say that? That's the issue. It's so weird because hick politicians are campaigning and getting votes on hating on corporate America. They may not care. So story in Bloomberg goes on to say a lot of what I've just talked about and set up. I don't know the answer. I just think the setup is there. I think what he said on CNBC, Greg Abbott, was a stupid thing to say and incorrect. I don't know if he cares. We have to stop doing stuff like this, says Josh Bayer, founder of Austin-based startup accelerator Capital Factory, which is helping to spearhead a grassroots initiative to take on social issues. It's terrible for business, he says, and for the image of what we are trying to convey. This is not going to make more people want to move here. Yeah. I mean, you're trying to sell the idea to a 25-year-old coming out of Stanford or coming out of UT or coming out of Duke or coming out of any of the places that are driving the economy, making the world go. Those cranes you see all over town, it's not because of the oil business. There's cranes all over this city because of exactly what these people are doing. And they're coming here and they're buying here and they're changing life in Austin, which is sad for a lot of us, but whatever, it's happening. And Greg Abbott is saying it's not a problem. It's not a problem. They're saying it's a problem. You're a problem. What happens? What happens? What's the tipping point? Do they have any power? Think about your politicians in this state and Georgia as well, and probably Arizona, rural politicians that govern the state, that are the driving force. What happens when the technology people are doing exactly what's reported now and saying, that's enough, hick, it's enough. Enough of that stuff. What a weird place, right? Used to be, the particularly Republicans, used to be you had to kiss the ass of corporate America. Corporate America is all that mattered to you. And now, actually, corporate America is the devil, according to your voting bloc. Who gives? Who wins? Who wins? You really expect the next special session that's called specifically for some bogus, irrelevant social issue to pander to rural America? You really think they're going to back off that?
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.